I'm Ari, and I'm here to talk to you about Riot the Rubicon. So Riot is a 2004 Wrangler Rubicon. I first started out just wheeling it as is. It was stock, we had the lockers still because it was the Rubicon, but I just started wheeling it the way that it was. I'd get high-centered, but it did impress me how well it did for just being, completely stock. So I knew right off the bat that I had to compete with Alex, and he's on 40s and tons, but I didn't want to spend as much as he did on his whole setup, so I was like, what's a good in-between? 37s is where I landed. So I'm running the 37 Baja Bosses, and they're on the 17-inch Mesa race wheels from Dirty Life. So I love the Boss. These are my original tires that I bought probably 3 or 4 years ago at this point. And they've done great. I only bought 4. I haven't popped one yet. Knock on wood. So the Bosses have taken me everywhere, from sand to dirt to mud to clay-based mud. It's everywhere, and they never cease to amaze me in how they do and how adaptable they are to the terrain. And for us, it's important because we're on the East Coast, but we do go to the West Coast a lot for wheeling. So having something that's good for both or multiple terrain types, I think is important, and they've done well for me. When I first got my Jeep, it was my daily driver. So when I first started building it, that was also a point was I didn't want to put it right on tons at 40s because I was still daily driving it. So when I bought the Baja Boss MTs, I knew immediately that there was a difference between the old tires I was running and these new ones. They're comfortable on-road, they're comfortable off-road, just an all-around great tire. The Dirty Lives have been great for me. I really like the styles that they have to offer, and they've held up really well. Their designs are great for the off-road applications that we use them for, and they look really good too. So I was thinking about powder coating them to match my armor, but then I figured they would kind of just blend and get lost, and so I left them machined because I liked how they gave it that little pop of, you see the shine in the sunlight. But now I need to figure out how to clean them. In Windrock, I still had stock axle shafts, and I knew I was already pushing the limits on the setup. I knew there was going to be a weak link somewhere, and so I'm happy with an axle shaft. Did I break something? What did I break? Oh, I tried. Okay, I tried. The way that my build works is I will wait to find the weak link, and then I'll upgrade it. So there's a few times where I'm proactive about it, but for the most part, I like to see, how far we can get before we need to upgrade. Which it kind of shows you too, you don't need to spend a whole lot of money and throw it all at this build to make it this big, great thing. You can do a lot with less. So when I do break something, I do upgrade. And in that case, I went to the Chromalis from Yukon Gear and Axle. My axles are the stock Rubicon axles, so the Dana 44s that come on the TJs. So we went through and we have R-Tech brackets and gussets, trusses, that's really helped the stability of the axle to hold up to the 37s and some of the stuff that we've gone through. So I think that's important. I don't think I'd be as far as I am without, beefing them up. The other day I was actually looking at my front axle and I was like, is it tweaked a little bit? So I'm a little concerned there, but I mean, for what it is, it's done great. I don't want to say minimal work because it's been pretty invasive, but in our world, the off-road world, it's kind of minimal work that you could do to an axle for it to, be built up. Internally, we have Yukon 488 gears. My front locker is actually still the factory locker, and I didn't upgrade my rear locker until I grenaded that. So in the rear, I'm running the Yukon zip locker now. So pretty much all Yukon internals, and yeah, they're doing great. So my suspension was the first thing I purchased. I had, stockpiled a bunch of parts, getting ready to, make the jump to the 37s, and I knew after watching Alex's perform, there's two things I wanted. I wanted the Baja Bosses, and I wanted the Rock Crawler long arm kit. For my long arm kit that I'm running, it's the Rock Crawler X Factor kit. It's the 5.5 inch. However, I just recently switched to 4.5 inch springs. The shocks that I'm running are Fox 2.0 shocks. They are technically a 6 to 8 inch lift, because when I was talking to Alex about it, I'm like, what's gonna be my limiting factor here, right? As far as travel goes. He basically said shocks. Shocks would be number one. And so I was like, okay, well, what's the max I can go on shocks, right? Because I'm working with minimal stuff here. I don't have the fancy coilovers or, any of that good stuff. I wanted to get the most out of my build and the most bang for my buck. So in the rear, I'm still running the stock sway bar, but in the front, I have the anti-rock. That gives me a lot more travel and flex in the front end. I've done a few renditions of the steering. First I was running the stock steering, but it's like super tiny. I didn't have an issue with it, but that was one thing I was proactive about. With the 37s, it's a bit hard to turn sometimes. I had found a PSC box. I swapped that in. I knew I could feel a difference immediately just by switching out the gearbox. We were running wide open design aluminum links at one point, but the way that it was set up and the geometry, I kept getting death wobble really bad on the road. Now I'm running the Curry Correct Link system. It's a little bit beefier than the stock. Fixed the geometry from the issues I was having. I'm still running the stock 4.0. I knew when I was going to buy the Jeep that was a reliable motor and it would, last me a while. And it's great for what we do off-road. Like, it's got a little bit of power here and there, but for the most part, you're just crawling and, it does the job. Stock transfer case, but we have rebuilt it. So we've gone in, put a new chain, touched that all up, so it's been a little bit gone through. I still have the stock front drive shaft. The rear shaft is an Adams that we needed to get made because of the lift. Under the hood, it actually came with a K&N cold air intake, and I've kind of just left it on. It's been great for airflow. The Mishimoto radiator, electric fan, hoses, all that system to keep it nice and cool. We're running an Odyssey battery, which helps power my S-Pod and all of my Baja lights. So the S-Pod that I'm running is the Bantam X with a HD panel. I love the S-Pod. That's where I run my rear locker off of now. All of my exterior and interior lights are off of that as well. I really like the HD panel because you can feel the buttons. The touch screen's nice, but I think for what we're doing, and it's just more rugged and able to withstand a bit more, I think. So I'm running Motobilt Armor all the way around. After all of my suspension and functionality components were purchased, my front bumper was the next. And so I was very particular about it because I feel like when you get to the armor and the exterior, like, it really makes the vehicle whole. I didn't want something too gaudy because it's still a pretty modest build. But I wanted something different. And so at the time, not a whole lot of people were running Motobilt. We came across their products and yeah, their front bumper, I was like, I want that. So we got that, and then it branched out to the rear bumper, the sliders, the corner armor, the fenders now. Motobilt makes some great products, and there's like a wide variety for everybody. In my front bumper, I'm running the worn Xeon 10S winch. Paired with that, I have the Factor 55 flat link. And it's been a great combo whenever I get into sticky situations. The winch is, I think, one of the necessities on any vehicle, especially when you're getting into the harder stuff, because if you're going in there not prepared, like, you could really get yourself, you know, hung up and in a pickle, and then the recovery could take a while too. So just having that piece of equipment is extremely important. Sometimes you can't get a Jeep or a vehicle angled in there correctly to recover you in the way that you should, so having your own method of recovery is really important. Front and rear bumpers, I'm running the Baja Design S2s. Front are amber, rear's white. I have the squadrons on the A-pillar. The dust lights are the S1s. For my light bar, I'm running the Onyx 6 in a 20-inch amber. The brackets on that are actually custom made. Alex and Nick created those, and it was funny because I didn't want a light bar. You know, at the time Alex had one and it just stuck up really far. I didn't like how out of place it looked. And so I guess they heard me and they modified these brackets, or created these brackets, to be a low profile. And that was one of my favorite modifications that have come of the vehicle, because it just looks really clean. You know, it's there when I need it. And yeah, all my lights, they do the job. I have amber rock lights from Baja as well. So, you know, when we're rock crawling at night, you know, you can see where you're going, so. My roll cage is fully custom. And when I say fully custom, I mean we went and bought the tube, we went and cut the tube, we went and bent the tube. Like, we did everything. Every piece is custom. The brackets that I use to tie it into the tub are Motobilt, but everything else, Alex and I and even Nick helped create. I kind of wanted my vehicle to stand out a little bit. Well, all the gussets, I thought they were a cute touch. You know, we have the little hearts and the R and the Riot, the Rubicon on there that kind of make it my own. Just the flow of the cage. I wanted like a fastback look, but I also wanted functionality for the best top NX soft top as well. Alex created this method of using this removable bar to support the top when it's on, but when I wanted to get that fastback look, or, you know, when I wasn't carrying passengers with me, I could, you know, kind of go race mode and take it off and get a different look for it. So it's kind of funny how the cage has a couple different looks to it depending on how it's assembled. On the cage, we have mounted my power tank. You pop a bead, you know, you can mount it back on right on the trail. It makes for really easy air up and air down situations. Overall, great tool, and I think everybody should have one. It's very versatile. The bracket holding it on is their new double strap bracket, and it helps keep it really secure. Also in the back, I have an ARB fridge. I'm typically the one carrying the snacks and the drinks, so we keep that powered. I'm also running a kicker sub back there. My whole sound system's kicker, from speakers in the cage, up front, the radio. My tailgate is actually a Crawltech tailgate. They were based in Michigan, and I had purchased it at a local off-road shop there. It was the last one, and I really liked the design because it kind of recesses that license plate in there. It's just really clean looking. You have the nice latches that help drop down. can make a quick little workbench out of it, or sandwich making station. I can also mount my tire patch kit from Power Tank. I have my first aid kit back there on the little molly rack, so yeah, a lot of good parts to it. For my PRP seats, I'm running the Enduro Elite recliners. I absolutely love them. I'm running their 4.3 harnesses with the latch. Overall, I think the seats at this stage in the build are one of my most important upgrades. The seats in the cage. Ever since I've made that switch, I've gotten a lot more confident. I've felt a lot more safe, especially with all the places that we've gone. You never really know. We're all taking a risk going out there and wheeling the way that we do. And I think safety is one of the most important things. So I'm more willing to try things because of that safety and that confidence that I feel in my PRP seats and harnesses. I love the fact that you can customize just about every aspect of the seat. I wanted something that was easy to clean, so we went with a lot of vinyl. You can also customize the stitching on these. So I took advantage of that, and I had Riot's name embroidered on the seat itself, and I think that gives it a more customizable feel as well. Overall, you can really make it what you want it to be, color-wise, stitching-wise. It's a great product that they offer. So on the dash, I have my PRP removable steering wheel. For Scotia, I'm running their mirrors and handles on my roll cage. Those are great because they can just slide on and you can kind of move them to where you want them to be. The stock four-wheel drive shifter, it's pretty difficult, or it was pretty difficult to get it into gear. So I did upgrade to the Advanced Adapters cable shifter, and that's been a lot easier to, switch quickly into 4 low, back into 2, or whatever we're doing. So that's been a nice modification. With the cooling, the TJs tend to be pretty warm. They run hot. I wanted a little bit more airflow, or at least to circulate air out. We ended up taking JL hood vents and made them functional. And I had saw this idea from somebody else who had done the same thing. And I love that idea because you didn't have to purchase a whole new hood, but it gave you functionality of releasing the hot air from the engine bay. So when the Jeep was in California, we were doing a lot of work. We were doing the cage. So we were updating a lot of the safety components. What I didn't know is that we were going to be updating the exterior components as well. And so included in that was my wrap. So I had actually helped pick out the colors and the format of it, but I had no idea that they would be able to actually install it. So that was a huge surprise, and the guys over at DH Graphics in Murrieta, California actually did that work for me, and it's held up really well. So I might need to switch it up though soon. It's been a couple years, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, within the past 2 or 3 years, we've gone to more places than I have probably in my whole life. We've taken our Jeeps from one coast to the other in 2 weeks' time. It's been a lot of fun. The amount of places that you get to see, the differences in the places. You can go from, the tip top of a mountain with pine trees to down in a sand pit somewhere else, and I feel very grateful that I'm able to travel and see all of these places and take my vehicle with me and just experience it all with my friends. So there's still a few places that we have not been that I'd love to, one being Sand Hollow. I've never been there. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm a little nervous, but I would really want to wheel there. Also, Big Bear in California. I have not got the chance to wheel there yet either, so I think I'll make it a priority to get out there as well. Just really beautiful places with good obstacles is, I'm all about that. Who knows, maybe at that time my Jeep might look a little bit different, but I'm really happy with the way that we planned it all out and it's been executed. Like, I've definitely kept up with Alex, I've kept up with some of the other big guys too. I think I've really surprised some of the people that, we've come across too, because they see it and at first you're just like, oh, it's a nice build. Like, well, how does it do though? Yeah, it's a cute little Jeep, right? And then you see me coming up, bopping through some weird stuff and they're like, what? So that's always fun. I have thought long and hard about what I want to do next with the Jeep. I feel like right now I'm pushing the limits as is. I'm getting more comfortable. My vehicle, there's only so much a vehicle can do, especially in the stage that Riot is in. I've thought about how I want to go about the next steps to get it to where I want it to be. It will be in stages where we work on the rear half, get that all mocked up, ready to go. Work on the front half, get that all ready to go. That way I can just swap in axles and tires and I'll be good to go. Because throughout the whole process, I've never been down a vehicle for longer than a couple weeks, if that. So if I can do it in stages like that, I think that would be best. But yeah, I think there's more to come with Riot and I. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching my build video. We have an awesome giveaway, which is a speed strap, Big Mama 30-foot recovery kinetic rope. Kinetic ropes are an essential part to any recovery kit. I have one in mine and we've used it multiple times and I love it. To enter to win, go ahead and leave a comment with your Instagram handle on your best recovery story. Good luck.
To win, you need to enter a comment, and then you need to attach your
Instagram handle. Okay. What?
Nothing.
Oh, what did he do? Oh, great. I see, everybody's laughing now.